At last, Foster and Hamilton began to see the village in the distance. It was small and very quaint. A few dozen houses scattered over the location. As they peered down on it from an elevated place, a hilltop that overlooked it, most of the houses were very small, made to very confinedly fit one family per house, made mostly of log with wooden shingles, stone chimneys peeking out of the tops, all of them billowing small amounts of thin white smoke. It was very early in the day, so they were most likely cooking breakfast at this point. Even in the distance, they could see small amounts of people moving about, some on horse-drawn carts, hauling goods, farmers who were selling their crops in town, blacksmiths steady at work, reshoeing horses, and all such manner of things that you will find in a small town like this. A tiny little village in the middle of nowhere. Most villages were, much like this one. Foster and Hamilton eventually made their way all the way to the town, walking into the main street, which led out the other direction, running the entire span of the town, which wasn't saying much since it was very small. Foster actually felt quite uneasy as she entered the town, seeing people moving about all around her, children running around and playing, farmers selling their food on the side of the road, cabbage and carrots, lamb and beef, all of which stopped in order to pay attention to the two new individuals that seemed to be passing through town. Well, hello there. So, you guys look like you're not from around here. Are you new traders from one of the nearby villages? One man asked as he stepped towards Foster and Hamilton as they began passing by the market. Hello? Foster said, nervously and somewhat louder than she needed to. Anyone who was looking could obviously tell that she was nervous. No, we're simply travelers passing through, Hamilton replied. My name is Hamilton, and this is my wife, Foster. In the moment, Foster grit her teeth, looking up at Hamilton very annoyed, pulling down on his shoulder somewhat and whispering in his ear. Oh, so I'm your wife now? You know, maybe you could have informed me if that was the story you were going to go with. Oh, you mustn't be so shy, dear, Hamilton said, now peeking a smile, as if he was enjoying himself for the first time, and speaking fairly loudly. I'm sorry, sir, my wife is a bit shy. I fell in love with her as I was passing by a small village near here, and it wasn't long before we eloped. But she's still quite used to her own small village. It's a little bit strange for her to be traveling outside it. She's new to traveling, so don't mind if she's a little bit uneasy. Oh, that's not a problem at all, sir. And I must say, you've gotten yourself a fine wife there. She's quite beautiful, such as any man would want a wife such as that. But don't tell my wife I said that, the man replied, laughing. No worries, Hamilton replied. So, sweetheart, do you need anything as we're passing through town? More food, perhaps? Hamilton said, turning towards Foster with a smile that, quite frankly, made Foster feel even more uneasy, as well as very annoyed. Is he really enjoying this? She thought to herself. When we get out of here, I am going to give him such a yelling. Well, I suppose I could afford to pick up a few things, Foster said, trying to push out a smile, and not having much luck, being caught somewhere between very anxious and very angry, but trying to force herself to look happy. Well, sir, you and your wife will find anything you could possibly need here in the market. Down the road just a bit, you'll find the blacksmith. If you have enough money to spend, perhaps you'd like to get off your feet. On the other end of town, there's a stable. You might be able to purchase some horses. I imagine traveling by foot can be tedious. And then, of course, there's all of the foods you can buy here in the market. I think you'll find that our village is a fairly welcoming place. We don't have any inns, but I'm sure you could barter a short stay at one of the houses. For a fine young couple like you, I don't think that should be a problem. No, we're not going to be needing to stay, Hamilton replied. We're simply passing through, and are actually in a great rush. You see, my father has recently become ill. I only received the correspondence as of late, and there's no telling when my dear father might pass. So we are in a hurry. I should like to see him at least once more before the end. That I can understand, the man replied. It wasn't so long ago that I witnessed my own father's passing, but he lived a full life. I should hope the same of your father, and I'm no doubt that he will be happy to see that you have found a wife before he leaves this earthly plane. Yes, that too is of great importance to me, Hamilton replied. I thank you for your concern, sir, and appreciate your direction. I do wish you the best, he said, as he grasped Fasta's hand gently and began pulling her down the road. As they passed the man and he began to fade into the distance, Fasta yanked her hand back, seeing that he was no longer paying attention. What is with you? Are you enjoying yourself? Fasta said, trying to whisper, but still get across that she was extremely unpleased with the situation. You do realize if they find out we're demons, it's going to be trouble. Why are you talking to them? You really have to relax. Even if they find out we're demons, it's not like they can do anything about it. They're just a rabble of humans. They have no power or skill, no combat, experience or ability. They can gather pitchforks and torches all they wish, but it wouldn't amount to anything against me. And no, I'm not enjoying myself, but learning to act has been a gracious skill. Learning to lie effectively is a tool. You should learn it, Hamilton said, as his face returned to the somewhat dour, emotionless expression that he usually has. While we're here, we have to maintain the illusion that we're normal human beings. In our case, based on what our ages appear to be in human reference, there were only two possibilities that might work for a reasonable cover story. One, that we are siblings, traveling together on a journey. However, we don't know enough about each other and our behaviors for that to really pass when brought into question. So the most next reasonable assumption is that we're a married couple, recently wed, as it were. Saying we met and got married in a hurry allows us to bypass lack of knowledge about each other. We became infatuated with each other quickly, and thus don't have all of the information about each other. So if you're questioned and don't know, it sounds more reasonable that you don't know, and you're less likely to have to come up with a lie to cover for it. You know, it scares me how good you are at this, Fasta said, putting her hand on her forehead for a moment. Right now, I can't even think straight. I'm surrounded by humans. I think I feel sick. I can't help looking over my shoulder at all of them, wondering when they're gonna drag out torches, start screaming demon. As I said, the illusion is solid. They won't be able to see you for what you really are. So long as you don't let them touch your head, you're fine. The illusion may not be physical, but your physical body is. Even if you shake their hand, it's not as if the illusion that creates your false skin tone will fade away. They can't feel your skin tone. Trust me, you're safe. Humans are quite dull-witted when you get right down to it. Short lives leave them little time for gaining knowledge. Most never bother with it, or have no access to it. So, being intelligent is a hard thing for them. There are very few exceptions to the rule. But I wasn't lying. If you need food or supplies, now is the time to get it. And try to be in a rush about it. That spell won't last forever, and I'd like to be having this town in our hindsight in quick order.